All righty. So jump right into a three-pack real quickly. As we talked about, we are this Thursday at the Chandler office. We're doing a class on doubling your production. And Todd and Nick, what I have found typically where agents hit that proverbial wall where they're doing 5, 10, 12 deals a year and they just can't seem to get to that next level. They just can't seem to increase production, or now production is low because the last couple of years were so darn easy. We typically find that agents are just missing systems and processes. That if they just implemented certain systems into their business to ensure that they don't lose referrals and don't lose past clients and so forth, they would continue to not only maintain their production level, but they would also increase their production
Absolutely.
level. So this is a little snippet from some of the stuff that we are going to go over on a Thursday. But of course, it's man, it's always just darn it comes down to CRM management, right?
Yep.
And so I think, Nick, you find this because you talk to so many agents about the CRM systems. It's we overcomplicate CRM systems.
Totally.
It's paralysis by analysis. We sit down and we go like, oh my gosh, the CRM system can do this and the CRM system can do that. And it becomes so overwhelming, we end up not doing it. Well, my CRM system management is as simple as it gets. I focus on three things. If I meet somebody and I have a real estate conversation, or I think there's the ability to transact in the future, they go into my CRM management or my CRM system, and I put in the data: name, phone number, email address, anniversaries, birthdays, spouses' names, and so forth. Then moving forward, any conversation that I have or that initial conversation I have with them, I put it in the activity notes, the notes section, so that at any time I can go back. It could be a year ago since the last time it was that I talked to that person, and find out what that last conversation was, or I left a message, or I sent a text today, or whatever, so that I can always see how much activity I am pouring into somebody. And then the third thing, and it's just our rule, is you never, ever, ever close out a profile without setting up a follow-up reminder so that I can enter information, forget about the conversation, and then a month later, my CRM system will email me that morning and say, "Hey, it's time to call Nick." I'm like, I don't remember who Nick was. I don't even remember what we talked about. Open up the profile and it's all there.
Yeah, it's another way of managing everything that you have going on in your business, and it should be outside of your brain. Your brain should be focused on remembering all of the intricacies of buying and selling homes and writing contracts, negotiations, and sales, not who you spoke to at the open house a month ago. That's what the CRM system does. It's low-hanging fruit that you should be using this system. And just like you said, Mikey, it's one or two or three or four transactions start to add up, and that's how you get your production to that next level, and it's setting up efficient systems like this.
Hey, this is not new, guys, right?
No.
I mean, this is one of those things that if you talk to your grandparents or your great grandparents, or maybe even your parents, they're going to be talking about, a Rolodex or an 3x5 index card file,
Yeah.
or maybe something called Lotus Notes, which was for the first technology pass at CRM. But yeah, well, no, I'm saying historically, just look back. I didn't say I used it.
Sure. Sure.
But anyway, but again, the new technology is making it easier and more convenient to use. Think about carrying a binder with you all the time that you had to keep updating or remembering, or index cards in the car. This is the most simple thing, and you can complicate it, as Mike said, but you don't need every single thing the system does. Some people need specific parts of it, and other people need other things, but you don't need to necessarily use all of it. Operate within your bandwidth.
Well, I actually, in my office, and if you come by and you want to check it out, I have my first CRM system in my cabinet. It is 2 3-ring binders full of these pieces of paper. When I first started in radio, we would just write all this stuff there because there was no place to put the information at that time. And there was no way to organize it and no way to be automatically reminded to follow up and so forth.
Yeah. Clint has Clay Fouts' Rolodex sitting in a shadow box in his office. It's pretty cool to still have that up there.
All right. So area of contention. A lot of agents don't like the fact that I say this. I am not a closing gift type person. For me personally, giving somebody a closing gift doesn't do me any good.
No.
And so I am looking for ways to always increasing production. And so one of the things that we're going to go into in depth on Thursday is our closing gift activities. And there's a difference between here's a closing gift. Congratulations, here's the keys to your home, and here's this with my brand on it. Whoop-de-doo. And or hey, let's put together an event where you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, get to introduce me to all of your family and friends. And now I'm having that ability to begin to build
Network.
relationships with them. So for us, it's about creating an event that allows you to meet their family and friends, creating a system. And we're doing our next one in 2 weeks from now. We've collected all the data. We've ordered the most incredible food truck. Hashtag Brock. Thank you. And we create systems to collect people's names, phone numbers, and email addresses. And I'm having conversations with all of these people before the housewarming party ever comes up. So for us as agents, it's assess our closing gift strategies. What are you doing when you hand the keys to somebody, and is it helping you build your business?
I think people lose sight of why we do this. I mean, we sell. It takes us a long time to get the client. Costs a lot of money to obtain the client. Then we create these relationships with people, and then we close a sale. And then it's like we don't care about ever talking to those people again.
We hope and pray that they remember us.
Yeah, or maybe in some instances we're hoping and praying they don't. But I don't know what the objective is, because I mean I know what the real objective is. I don't know why people don't engage more. But consider it a gift that keeps on giving. Look at it from that perspective. When you give somebody an item, that item is either disposable or it vanishes over time, or the intrinsicity vanishes over time. But if you become that gift that continues to give, the consumer is going to continue to give you back and give you that return on engagement, return on your investment by referring you to friends and family, by taking one of the 5 people they're going to bump into this year that are ready, willing, and able to buy a home, and they're going to refer them to you. But if you don't do those things, and drips alone don't just do that.
Well, it's the conversation I have with my
Right.
wife all the time. I am the gift that keeps on giving.
Wow.
But anyways, that's just between her and I and our relationship. But Nick, this is why I always start off with CRM management.
Correct.
So if I've now built a system where I'm collecting people's names, phone numbers, and email addresses, they go,
What are you doing with
they
it?
go into my CRM system, and now I've just added. And I would rather get the names, phone numbers, and email addresses of 25 family and friends of my client rather than new leads off Facebook or open houses or whatever the case is.
Of course, your referrals are always going to be the easiest thing to move through. And again, you started with CRM because you're building your funnel. We're talking to business owners and entrepreneurs. Your goal is sales. You need to continue to fill your pipeline with people to speak to. And if you don't have anyone to talk to, these systems these things we're talking about are strategies to get people into your CRM, holding open houses when you do have that closing, setting up an event to work with the relationships you just built, because that's what this is. It's not a past client, which I hate that term. It's not a past closing. It's a relationship that you have built over time through this process that you worked with these individuals very closely. Now you want to celebrate that, and you get something both sides of that
and it's
party.
such a warm handoff, right? Like you're at an event, they're walking you to the person they're introducing to. It's not a text, it's not an email, it's not a phone call. They're physically introducing you to somebody. That's great. That's fantastic.
And for those of you that just jumped, that voice that you heard is not the voice of God. That is Anthony Cucci from HCP Home Inspection.
As long as he stays inside the red tape, he's good.
Yeah,
There you go.
stay in that red tape. There you go, buddy.
All right, and so then a couple other things we're going to go in depth on our class on Thursday is one is our elevator pitch. When somebody asks you what you do for a living, what do you say? If you say you're a real estate agent and you're a realtor and you're wondering why people are running from you, well, we will show you a different strategy to take that question and turn it into a deeper conversation. Of course, we're very, very big into after the close system. So when you do hand the keys to so-and-so and you do, throw them some sort of an event or whatever the case is, what is it that you do over the next 12 months? We have a 23 touch system in which you're going to be touching your clients 23 times in the next 12 months. And then the biggest one is is it takes time, and I think this is where agents they don't have patience in this, but it takes time to build business from your sphere of influence. But it's not taught. It's not a matter of saying every agent say, well, tell you, yeah, I got to go work my sphere of influence. But if you ask them, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, what systematic approach do you take to work your sphere of influence? And they don't necessarily have a great answer.
You know that commercial that says what's in your wallet? I like to look at agents and say, how well are you, what is that particular CRM? How well is it working for you today? Well, how many leads did you actually get and sell off of it last year? And to be quite honest with everybody, if you have nothing and you're a great relationship person, you have relationships with 4 or 5 people, those people should give you 5 leads a piece per year or 20 deals a year, just in the relationship with, but what word did I use? Relationship.
Yeah.
You don't do that solely just by dripping them things. You have to do all these different you know what? If I was doing day-to-day real estate in the trench with everybody like I had been for 20 years, I would be at your class on Thursday.
I appreciate that.
So for a lot of agents, we run into the elevator pitch. They speaking out loud and taking what you do and putting it into an elevator pitch is difficult for a lot of realtors. And so going through your class is definitely something you're going to learn that from. I would also recommend, not take away from Mike and Ryan and what they're going to teach you, but ChatGPT is a system that we have seen a lot of agents take the bullet points, the things that they focus on, and you can say, write me a 30-second elevator pitch on X, Y, and Z, and it will actually give you a start. I'm not saying you copy and paste it, but it's a place that you can start. And then these types of classes that we see agents, well, you guys have been selling these out, but these are the kind of classes that will move the production up in your business.
Move the needle.
Well, yeah, and the whole goal is to increase production, to make money and attend money-making activities. But yeah, I'm telling you, just back to the sphere of influence. If agents, they don't have the patience, because it takes a while. They don't have the patience because they don't have strategies and they're not seeing that success. I find when you have a strategy set in place, then it's easier to have patience and trust the system, because it's going to take time, but you are following, you're following those steps.
That was probably one of the most profound things agents.
No,
wait a minute though, that agents need to hear.
Can't take that back.
Well, no, because you still said it. Because of the fact that you got to understand what the benchmark is, but you got to give it time to get there.
100%. It's farming a neighborhood for a month and not getting any transactions out of it and saying I'm done.
Yep.
You've got to keep swinging.
Yep.